Hello everyone, this is Jahiria Abbas for ELE 138, Literary Criticism. Our topic for today is Lesson 6, the Psychoanalytic Theory. This lesson discusses psychoanalytic theory in relation to analyzing literary pieces. The proponent and steps applied to psychoanalytic theory is also expounded in this lesson.
Okay class, are you ready to listen? Well, before we proceed with the actual lesson, let us first be guided by the learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the students are able to A. Discuss the concept of the psychoanalytic theory, B. Explain the connection between the psychoanalytic theory and the literary criticism, and C. Apply psychoanalytic theory in analyzing a short story. I know that some of you have already encountered the word or the work of Sigmund Freud, which is the psychoanalytic theory. Are you familiar with Sigmund Freud? How about his theory of the psychoanalytic or the psychoanalysis theory? Let's have a brief review about Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory. Again, some of you may have encountered his famous theory of the psychoanalysis or the psychoanalytic theory, but how do we apply it in criticism? Have you thought about it? You might remember the three basic components of his theory, which talks about the id, the irrational, instinctual, unknown, and unconscious part of the psyche, the ego, the rational, logical, waking part, and the superego, which acts as an internal censor, causing us to make moral judgments in the light of social pressures. In short, we are humans who have inner minds that consists of the irrational, rational, and the moral judgments according to the Freudian mind. And now, let us associate this theory into criticism in literature. Psychoanalytic criticism. Psychoanalytic criticism came into being during the 1920s, where premises and procedures were established by Sigmund Freud. This psychoanalytic criticism is a type of criticism that uses theories of psychology to analyze literature. It focuses on the author's state of mind or the state of mind of the fictional characters, whereas the idea behind the emergence of the psychoanalytic criticism is that literature is an expression of its author's persona. Whereas Freud proposes that literature and other arts like dramas and neurotic symptoms consist of imagined or fantasized fulfillment of wishes that are either denied by reality or prohibited by social standards of morality and property. Moving forward, let us try to analyze what you know or like the terms that are used in the psychoanalytic criticism. Thus, there are two main parts that constructs a criticism of literature according to Freud. We have the id, which talks about the unconscious. This id or unconscious is made up of the impulses and instincts that dictate our behavior without us knowing about it. Freud believed these impulses were driven by the sexuality, but Jung believed that they were driven by cultural archetypes, and some other psychologists believe that unconscious mind is made of drives for power, for love, or for any other number of impulses. But since we are focusing on the psychoanalytic theory, we just have to think about the idea of Sigmund Freud. Next, we have the ego. Ego, or also known as the conscious part of the mind that interacts with the outside world. It is the decisions we make and the actual thinkers or thinking we do. Thus, according to this theory, psychoanalytic criticism adopts the method of reading employed by Freud and later theorists to interpret texts. It then argues that literary texts like dreams expresses the secret unconscious desires and anxieties of the author, that a literary work is a manifestation of the author's own neurosis. Do you understand that? If you are having a hard time, let us first have a definition of terms before we dig deeper into the discussion. Let's have a quick definition of terms that can be encountered in this topic so you will be enlightened. You may be able to encounter these words. The first one, the preconscious. The preconscious are the contents of the mind that you are currently aware of, that you are not currently aware of, the thoughts, memories, the knowledge, the wishes, and the feelings. The second one, the repression. Repression is a storehouse of all unfulfilled desires or traumatic past events and experiences that are forced out of the conscious into the realm of the unconscious. Third, the neurosis. You have encountered this before. Neurosis is the result of a conflict between the ego and the id, and is a state in which a person is at war with himself or herself. So if you ever encounter something like this, that you're trying to have a battle within yourself, you say, I'm in a state of neurosis. O, di ba, social? And then we have the fourth one, psychosis. Psychosis is the outcome of a similar disturbance between the ego and the outside world. And then the fifth one, we have the dream work. The dream work is dreams are viewed as a means of evading conscious awareness and understanding. They are a reservoir or repressed conflicts or memories. Okay, I hope that you keep in mind these words because you will be encountering this as we go deeper into the topic or the lesson. Now, going back to the literary criticism using the psychoanalytic theory. Let's talk about the what and the hows of the psychoanalytic literary criticism. Like psychoanalysis itself, this critical endeavor seeks evidence of unresolved emotions, the psychological conflicts, the guilt, ambivalences, and so forth within what will be a disunified literary work. It talks about the author's own childhood traumas, the family life, the sexual conflicts, the fixations, and such will be traceable within the behavior of the characters in the literary work. So, you can just say that it also does reflect the author, everything that has something to do with the author, which sometimes reflects on the character as well. But the psychological material will be expressed indirectly, disguised, or even encoded, as in dreams, through the principles of symbolism. The repressed object represented in disguise, we have the condensation, which is the several thoughts or persons represented in a single image, and also the displacement. Displacement is the anxiety located into another image by means of association that is also related to the author. Despite the importance of the author here, the psychoanalytic criticism is similar to the new criticism in not concerning itself with what the author intended. But then again, you think about what the author never intended. These are the ones that are unconsciously done or also repressed. That is repressed, is sought. No? Hindi yung sinasadya mo, but then you also sought it. It is something that's unconsciously done because it's repressed. The unconscious material has been distorted by the censoring conscious mind. Do you understand that? Okay, let's move forward then. Furthermore, the literature works are analyzed based on the following, or can be analyzed based on the following when you are trying to use the literary or psychoanalytic literary criticism. We have the first one, the author. The author is used to analyze the author and her life, and the literary work is seen to supply evidence for this analysis. This is often called autobiography, or the biography of the author, where you use psychoanalysis itself, which it talks about the state of mind of the author. And then next one, we have the characters. The characters also does reflect on the author itself. No? The characters or the theory is used to analyze one or more of the characters. The psychological theory becomes a tool to explain the character's behavior and the motivations. The central idea in that is that the author reflects anything in the literature written, such as the characters, and it mostly shows that what is the repressed, what is something na you can't really do, but you don't know that you do. It's the unconscious. For example, let's have an example, which is my classmate. A classmate of mine loves writing romantic stories between boys and commonly called BL. Ito yung mga boys love, no? According to her, she loved seeing handsome men together, so she tries to write it. Then she wrote stories about it. The characters or the behaviors shows love between men. Although the idea of love between the opposite gender is accepted in many countries, certainly in our area or in our country, it's not that much accepted. No? It's not open-minded still. Therefore, we can say that the literature shows the unconscious desire of the writer expressed in the story. We can say also that the classmate or the girl who loves BL is unconsciously writing or associating herself or her love on the character itself, which is unconscious as well, because you could just say it's something that she likes, but then again, the deeper meaning or the darker meaning of it not being accepted to the society is also expressed. The repressed one are showing kung ano yung tinatago mo, yun pa yung lumalabas, parang ganun. But it's based on the literature itself that the author unconsciously shows. Okay, do you understand that?